Well, more now on that top story. The US Defense Secretary has condemned Russia's increased military activity in Syria. Speaking at the NATO summit in Brussels, he said Russia may face consequences for its behavior.
We've seen increasingly unprofessional behavior from Russian forces. They violated Turkish airspace, which, as all of us here made clear earlier this week and strongly affirmed today here in Brussels, is NATO airspace. They've shot cruise missiles from a ship in the Caspian Sea without warning. They've come within just a few miles of one of our unmanned aerial vehicles. They have initiated a joint ground offensive with the Syrian regime, shattering the facade that they're there to fight ISIL. This will have consequences for Russia itself, which is rightfully fearful of attack upon Russia. And I also expect that in coming days, the Russians will begin to suffer casualties in Syria.
Joining me is Gulnur Aybet, Professor and Head of the Department of Political Science and International Relations at Bahçeşehir University here in Istanbul. Welcome to the programme. Russia has waded in heavy-handed. Is there sort of little hope now that there can ever be a coordinated response between the US and Russia?
Well, there wasn't any coordination to begin with. The Russians started to build up their military presence, which was very surprising to everyone, and then they started with the military intervention and the airstrikes. But there has to be some coordination with regards to the management of airspace if both the coalition and the Russian airstrikes are going to go ahead. And today the NATO Secretary General in his press conference said that in fact the US Defense Secretary and the Russian Defense Secretary are already holding talks about some coordination so that airspace accidents don't happen over unwanted clashes in the airspace.
And the way things stand now, does it require NATO to send in its forces?
No, not at the moment, because the Syrian situation is a US-led operation, although practically all NATO nations are involved in the coalition. It's not a NATO operation. With regards to the defense of Turkey and the violation of Turkey's airspace, it hasn't even been put to the table by Turkey as an Article 4 situation yet. So in terms of deploying maybe a preventative force or preventative measure, the Patriots are still there, and we understand that 2 of the batteries will be withdrawn, but probably replaced by other nations who will be hosting them. So at the moment, the Secretary General also said that NATO's forces, you mentioned about the Rapid Deployment Force, the Spearhead Force, which is a part of that, can be deployed in 48 hours. So there is absolutely no need for any forward deployment at the moment.
Now, with Russia launching from the Caspian Sea, what kind of message is this sending to the US rather than choosing to continue with airstrikes? Is it trying to say we are also a superpower and we have as much military might as you?
Russia is demonstrating its military capability about what it can do and what it has. It's chosen a very dangerous theater of war to actually undertake this demonstration. Of course, they couldn't really show such a large-scale demonstration in the situation over Ukraine because of the Article 5 situation, and it's so close to the border of other NATO member states. Now, of course, Syria is a vacuum. The United States have just completed the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal, and they're not really preoccupied with the Middle East. The coalition have not been very successful against ISIL so far. So, there's this vacuum. And also, I mean, the migration crisis and the possibility that there might be a Western response in bringing a willingness, if you like, to bring the war to an end, made Russia act a little swifter because they want to be on the table if a settlement's reached. They want to maintain their presence in the region, and they're making a point.
Okay, Gulnur Aybet, thank you very much.
Thank you.